What does it mean to say, I am? Is consciousness an accident of biology? Or is it the fabric of the universe? On Spinning the Light, we bridge the gap between ancient wisdom and modern inquiry. We're stripping away the illusions of the ego to find the radiant core of human existence. Join us, your hosts, Christy and Sharon, as we unravel the mysteries of the mind and illuminate the true nature of being. This is Spinning the Light.
Hello, and welcome.
Hello. Welcome to Spinning the Light again.
So happy you're all here. You know, one of the things is we've been talking about, and we were talking about this, we've been talking about consciousness and stuff like that. And then the little light bulb goes on. Maybe we should be explaining a few things a little bit more so that when we're talking about this, you can kind of put things into perspective.
Yeah. A little bit of a breakdown.
So we're going to break this down a little bit. And so when we look at the consciousness, it's in layers as well, okay? Mm-hmm. So you have what is called our conscious mind, and that's our awake mind, so to speak. So we're going to talk about the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, the unconscious mind, and then what we call it's kind of like the super consciousness.
Yeah, super conscious, higher.
That's our high
state.
level. So that's kind of that transcendence when we talk about that. When you're talking about somebody who has transcended or gets into that state, we're talking about people who are like Buddhist monks who do a lot of meditation, or the Dalai Lama, or it can be anybody. But, when you think about those things, that's when you start to see some of that stuff because of what they're doing with their mind, and that's all that means. But under each of these, we also have waves. So we have the beta wave, the alpha wave, the delta wave, and the theta wave. And these waves all work in conjunction with our consciousness.
Yeah, each of these states of consciousness.
And of course, the first one is the conscious one. And when we're in a conscious state, we're in the beta.
Yes, and we're in that thinking place, the problem-solving place.
Kind of our logical brain and what's going on in the here and now. It's what we're seeing and experiencing in the here and now. So that's our conscious way. That's where we're at most of the time in our awake state.
Mm-hmm. Handles the logic and the reasoning. So in that beta wave, it operates in the conscious mind. The beta waves are the concentration mode where you do active problem solving. They are produced naturally and they help us control organized thought.
That's broken down into...
Yeah, there's 3 states of the beta wave. There's low beta, which is relaxed yet focused.
Right here. This is low beta right here. I like to think anyway.
The regular beta, which is normal alert state, you're in the problem solving. And then there's high beta, which is the stressed, complex state.
A lot of people are in the high right now. And that means, so anytime you're in a place of anxiety or worry or those kind of things, your beta waves become very irregular. And that's why it's really hard to slow things down and to focus. Mm-hmm. So, when you can identify that you're in that high beta and you can realize that, oh, I can do something to change this. It's kind of empowering yourself. You know what I'm saying?
And until you create an awareness around it, a lot of times you're making decisions that are kind of rash and that because you're in such a chaotic state.
That's when we're in our emotional state as well. And then so what happens is I'm responding in an emotional state. And when I do that, we have to remember what comes out of our mouth, we can't put back in. But that's why it's because we're in that high beta state that just, there's no rationale to it. Okay. So just have that awareness. And we're going to fluctuate within these 3, maybe on a daily basis. Oh, yeah. Maybe in 5 minutes even.
It's just from moment to moment. Because life is happening.
It can happen. So, yeah. So that's the beta wave. And that's the one that you're more familiar with because it's what you're in when you're in an awake state and in your conscious state.
Yeah, for sure. Too much beta causes mental fatigue. Too little beta will lead to attention difficulties like brain fog.
And that's because when we're in a high beta state, we're having cortisol dumps too. So now you have this really, it just overwhelms the system. So that's where brain fog and all that comes in. It's like, and then it's kind of like when you have that state, when you're done with it, you're really tired. It's like a crash and burn. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And then we go into the subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind is where we're at with the
Concentration.
but that's your alpha state. Okay. It's kind of those things that are happening behind the scenes. And we were talking about that because when we were driving one day, we're going somewhere else, but she gets in the turn lane to come to the office.
Oh, yeah. That's the subconscious. Yeah. It's the emotional blueprint. The deep-seated habits, recent memories live there. But that's sort of what happens on the automatic, the backside. It's the breathing, walking, even driving without thinking, like you're saying. You get in a habit of going the same way every time. And even when you're not going there, you may automatically do that. And you end up someplace and you're like, wait a minute. What am I doing here?
No, I don't work today.
But it does not judge.
No.
It does not judge or filter. It plays back our patterns.
So when we're often doing things that are just so automatic, it's like you get up, you go, you brush your teeth. There's no thought to it.
Right.
There's absolutely no thought, and you're correct. There's no judgment to it. It's just doing.
Yeah.
It has identified your pattern.
You can kind of check out and continue on autopilot.
Yes. So that's a really good way of putting it. So subconscious is our autopilot. We don't have to have an awareness to it. It's like you're not aware of everything that's going on in your body as you're sitting here. You're breathing in that. You just breathe.
Yeah.
When you learn to walk, you just walk. So that's that subconscious thing. And once again, no judgment, no nothing. It just happened. And so even when I'm talking to people, when you did that, there was no intention or anything. That was the subconscious. That was your pattern just acting itself out.
Mm-hmm.
How often do we do that?
Oh, for sure. Those things just play out as we go. So in that subconscious mind, we have alpha waves. Alpha waves operate in the subconscious mind, serve as a bridge between active thinking and deep sleep. It reduces overstimulation and enhances creativity. These waves are at their highest right before falling asleep. They are a baseline reset for your nervous system. So before you start looking at your phone or attending to other things, this state allows you to fully reset. These waves can be cultivated through mindfulness, meditation, and conscious deep breathing.
Yes. And so when you're going into that, and you kind of feel it, if you become aware of your body, you feel yourself when you kind of go, it's almost like you feel everything go, and it just calms. And then you get to this place. That's when you're in the alpha state. An alpha state is a really good place to start having that awareness. Because in alpha, there's an awareness.
The brain, I think, is more receptive.
Yes.
It's able to because it's not dealing with the other chaos.
It's not in beta. Beta's now shut down. Beta's, put to sleep. And even though we're going to sleep, alpha's activated. So it's awake, which is kind of weird because we go to sleep to be awake. What do you think about it?
Guess that's true.
Just thought of that right now.
But it creates space.
Yes.
That's where you want to get into that stillness.
And it's within that space that we have growth. It's within that space that things start to happen.
The brain can actually relax enough to even see anything else other than chaos.
Yes. Yes, very much so.
So then we have the unconscious mind. Our deepest layer. We do not easily access this layer. This could be forgotten childhood memories or suppressed traumas, the core of our psyche that has shaped our personality. It speaks in dreams, symbols, and physical sensations.
And so I think when we're talking about this, we talk about traumas and all that, but it's more than that. I think it's more that essence, the core. I like to call it the core. It's the core of who we are. All of these other things just build onto that core. And sometimes we lose our core in all of the stuff, that stuff that's added on, the traumas, life in general, life happening. All of our experiences have the ability to impact our core, have the ability to shut it down. That's why it's so hard to activate, because we get in this place where we're just living and we're doing, and it becomes the status quo. We talked a little bit about that last time. It's like all of our stuff is, we have the ability to change. We don't have to keep those generational habits. We don't have to do all of these things. But because it's so ingrained, but because this area is so part of our core and who we are, it started from the moment of birth. Okay? From the moment of birth, that's the core. And then all of the conscious and all of these start building on this.
Yes. And we allow that to make up the person that we are. And these things that happen on this unconscious level, like it says about forgotten childhood memories or suppressed traumas, we don't realize how much we are reacting to things because those things have shaped us on the unconscious level.
Yes.
And becoming aware of that is powerful to make changes in how we respond to things.
Well, and I think also identifying how we respond to traumas and things like this is based on this social construct of how we're supposed to. I can see people who they'll feel bad because they're supposed to feel bad, but they don't feel bad because society says, well, if this happens to you, it's very traumatic and it's going to affect your life and this impact. And they're there, but I don't have any of that. So then that pattern goes in. Then if that's what my belief system becomes, or because of in the conscious, I'm taught this. So then I start changing my patterns, which goes into my subconscious. And then the more we have that, then it's like this spiral down.
Yeah. So what's happening in the unconscious mind is the delta waves. They restore and repair, driving physical healing and regeneration of the body. These are the slowest brainwaves and indicate a complete disconnect from the physical world. They store information in the subconscious.
So once again, it's those things that we're attending to more, those patterns that we're developing. So then we're reinforcing the subconscious.
Yeah.
Through that. And it's crazy when we think about that. When we think about the things that have been said to us, the things that have been done to us, the things that we have said and done, everything is stored. Every single thing that has ever happened to us, everything our five senses have experienced, everything we've learned is stored somewhere in our body. Whether it's in our brain, whether it's we have body memory. And that's why when I tell my clients, if you look at my wall, it's blank, and it's the mural or tapestry of your life, everything has to be represented. But when you are able to start that healing process and go through these, I mean, in therapy, we call it different things. We use different words. But it's the same thing. Once you get to that level, then you have the ability to still have the trauma or whatever that is that you're experiencing. You have the ability to shrink it and put it in the corner. It no longer has the same power. So as you learn these things and you start to identify these things, then some of those things that would normally bother you, whatever, they don't, because you understand that it's not as relevant as we've been taught it to be. That's kind of a cool thing.
You can build something new. So the next level is super consciousness or higher state. This is believed by many cultures to be the state of consciousness that goes beyond self. This is the desired level. It's where pure intuition lives. It is the universal connection, our innate wisdom that goes beyond personal ego and the daily happenings of our lives.
And in this place truly lives love,
Yes.
because love is our highest frequency. It is our highest frequency. And it is in this place where we will find that. And you know, once again, go back to Proof of Heaven. When he's in this place, and when he says that, he goes, it is in that, within that place that I felt it would be like pure love. And the feeling that came along with it, because he was in a state of this. There was no other thing. So it kind of transcended into this state of being with the highest energy,
Right.
a connectedness with the highest energy that we have. Okay? So that's why those things are important. As we get to that place, we become healthier and healthier and healthier. Believe it or not, we start having less and less physical issues. We definitely minimize mental issues.
It allows our body to heal, that reconnection with that state.
And I think not even just the body, but it's our mind and it's our spirit.
Yes, it allows
These-
for flexibility and resiliency to come through.
And don't you feel like this is like the truest level of our true spirituality,
Yes.
our truest connection to source, to God, energy, universe, whatever you call it all.
Yeah. Get underneath all those other levels.
And I feel like people have had experiences where it might be a moment, but they will have that connectivity even in that brief moment. Because I don't think it's like, I think that there are circumstances or whatever that maybe put you in that altered state of knowing or of being, that people will experience it, but instead of trying to figure out how do I find it again, they'll go back to that same feeling. They'll try to recreate that feeling. And I was just having this conversation with one of my clients, and it was about, well, I would do this and it would bring me this, a feeling, an emotion. And then I went later on and I did it and it didn't have that. And I said, because you're not the same person who did it in the first place. You've had growth in that time. So we call them coping skills. But that coping skill was effective then. And so it took you to that deeper level of who you were.
Yeah.
But you try using the same thing even 4 months later, it doesn't resonate the same way. And the reason it doesn't is because you are not that person.
Those tools that you used to use are outdated.
Yes. But we will do that even when people have these experiences. They think they have to go back and try to recreate it. Instead of saying, that was such a cool experience. Can I have more experiences?
Yeah.
What would that feel like in other ways? But we're so conditioned to go back to reinvent.
Yeah, I think that's when people look back and say, oh, a simpler time or things like that. But really, we create the chaos, that continues on. And I think that if we frame it up that way and realize that the growth that's happened, you can still create. So you can create something new. It's not having to go back, because in doing that, you feel like you're somehow lacking.
Well, it's kind of like when we talked about the generational stuff. If it was something that is valuable, you keep it. If it's not, get rid of it. But so much of the time, because it's well, that's just the way it's always been.
Yeah.
And then we hold on to that like it matters.
Right.
And the only one it matters to is maybe the one who created it in the first place. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's being able to identify that if I have that spiritual moment, have immense gratitude for it. Because it's amazing, it's beautiful. And they come in moments.
Right. Well, we couldn't handle it if it was all of the time. That would be,
It's very it overwhelms your system. It really does. It overwhelms the system.
yeah. So what's happening in this super consciousness is theta waves. These waves come into play just as you're drifting off to sleep, but also heavily active when you are in a deep meditative state or engaged in prayer or in vivid dreaming. Because during this time, we are disconnected from the external world. Your senses turn inward. They serve as a gateway to inspiration and emotional processing. That's huge. And I feel like that it's what a breath of fresh air and how relieving if we could go to that state and just feel uplifted.
And I think too, when you meditate and you really slow everything down, it's amazing what happens in those states. And I think that sometimes people, when I'm talking about meditation, people are, well, then there's nothing. No, there's a lot going on. What you're doing is you're stopping thought.
Yeah.
And when you stop thought, guess what?
Allow presence.
Presence. And in that presence, it might be images, it might be colors. And you don't sit there and break it down. Well, what is this? No, you don't go to thought. You experience it. You let the experience happen.
Yeah. Just let it unfold.
I always tell her sometimes when I meditate, it comes at really weird times. It can be very strange, but I know it's when my brain goes into that quiet. And I'll tell her, I'll see all these weird images. And I say, I want to be able to take a snapshot of them. Because once I see them vividly in that, but when I come out of it, I know I've seen them, but I want to be able to, write all that down. And I've never been able to do that. So here we are. Who knows? It might be clues to something.
Right? Might be important information there.
Or just symbols.
Or that. It's important because in this state, we process fears and past traumas, reducing stress and easing into restorative sleep. This is where people find binaural beats to be helpful, a helpful method of sound therapy. It can reduce anxiety and enhance meditation.
Yes. When we talk even about trauma, and understand when I'm saying this, I'm talking about a construct. Mm-hmm. Even trauma is a construct. The way we love is a construct. The way we hate is a construct. Because we don't experience those things the same as everybody else. But what we'll do is we'll take that experience and we think we have to put it into this box that's been created. Mm-hmm. And I think when we go into the theta and even the delta and alpha, delta, and theta, I think what you find is that release happens because we realize we're doing this to ourselves based on so many things. We're hurting ourselves. Yeah. We've already been hurt, but now let's just hurt ourselves some more. So it's how do we do that? And I think that's where that comes, is that release of you are loved.
Yeah.
You have value. You are connected to source. And if you can experience that powerful thing, then the trauma becomes minimized anyway, because the power of that connection is so powerful.
Yes.
And I think at the end of the day, people want to know that they're loved, that they're lovable, that they deserve to be loved, and that they are a part of a bigger thing. Mm-hmm. But we somehow, through time or whatever, we've minimized people. We haven't maximized the importance that we have to one another.
Yeah.
And particularly, I think that, once again, we talked about prayer. Prayer is a meditation. Mm-hmm. And we talked about that because when we were doing a rosary, because my family grew up Catholic. So we're at a rosary. And even though I don't have a rosary, it's in your head. So I can do the rosary just as I sit there and I know the beat, you do all that. But it was so funny because you would ask me, why do you do that? What is that repetition and all that? But I'm glad you asked me the question, because that day I was doing it, I realized it's meditation. The beads are the tactile. So you touch the beads. And when you see a lot of in India, in those places, in Hindu, they use beads. There's prayer ropes. It's tactile. So it helps you. And as I was doing that, I had the awareness that I had gone into a meditative state. And so it's an action. And so some people will sit there and say, well, why do you do that repetitive stuff? How is that religious, or how is that spiritual, whatever? It was at that moment that I realized that's what it was.
And I think that you have to realize the intention when you are
Yes.
doing it. Because yes, you can sit there and repeat words, recite something, or be so focused on maybe just the beads themselves or things like that. But it's the intention you put behind and where that
Yes.
focus, because those things help you to focus.
And I think that's the key thing. Even in religion, it is your intention.
Right.
You have to know your intention, not the intention of who's leading the group, so to speak. It is your intention when I go in. What is it that I'm wanting out of this?
Yeah.
What do I walk away with that truly resonates with me? Not what I'm being told to resonate with me, but what resonates with me.
What I feel in my heart.
Yes. And I think that when we do that, it's such a profound moment. It's like this awareness.
And part of the problem comes in when we try to define it and put words to it. When you're talking about having these kinds of experiences, I don't think that we're really able to put it into words. And that's okay.
And I agree. And I think sometimes even when we try to put it into words, it lacks.
Yeah.
And you walk away thinking, feeling a little empty.
It falls a little short of what you really experienced.
So it's like we do the best we can to express those feelings or what those experiences are, but it does lack.
Yeah.
We're almost taught to anything negative, we express more. So even when we're going to express love or do these things, it always fascinates me how we shove love into this little tiny box. And we're going to have an episode on that, so I don't want to get into it. But not understanding the depths of what it truly means to love somebody. Not to be in love with somebody, to truly love another human being.
Love without a name.
Yes, it's very different. But you experience that as you learn to move through these levels in the consciousness. There's those steps in consciousness to understand your waves better. Understand where you're at in these things. The more you learn and know, the more you educate yourself in these areas. This isn't academic. We're not talking about academic learning. We're talking about spiritual learning. We're talking about true consciousness, connectedness, learning to a greater power.
Right.
To me, that's a much more important investment.
It feels much more important when you're doing it, especially.
If I sat there and compared a master's degree to this to me is so much more relevant. My master's just gets me the ability to work and get paid and to do, not, I shouldn't say that. Getting paid is always my secondary thing, as you know. The most important thing is the connections I get to make with the people and being invited on those journeys.
Yeah.
And to see my clients moving through these stages. And we don't use these words,
Right.
but a lot of this is acceptance. And a lot of it is letting go.
Yeah.
And when you get into those levels of the super, that means you let go.
And that's like one of the most difficult or more challenging pieces of it, I think. It's our wanting to hang on to something and not realizing how we're actually cutting off our nose to spite our face and doing that.
Exactly.
Because it can make us so rigid.
Well, it really takes away our light.
Yes.
And I think when you get to the place of here, that light, that internal light of yours, shines so much brighter because you have made that connection, not only to yourself, but to source.
Right.
And that is where you shine the brightest. And it may not be 24/7 because we are human after all, but those moments begin to matter. And the more moments you have, and the more moments you can shine and help others shine with that connectedness that we have, I think that is our purpose.
Absolutely.
That is our purpose. To be able to share that experience, to feel it on that level. And I am grateful for those moments. I cherish them and I am open to more.
And that's the thing, being open to the receiving of and not thinking that we have to control. Because when we try to control something, we're trying to make something happen, then we get frustrated because it doesn't happen.
And then you're in what state? The conscious state.
Conscious state.
If you go in and you're trying to do this, but you're trying to force, you're still in the conscious state.
Yeah.
It's when you surrender
Yeah.
and you become vulnerable. And in that vulnerability, you find who you are.
Yeah.
And you're not afraid anymore. So today we did this. And you're thinking, okay, now I know all this. What does this do me? That's a good question. Because next time what we're going to do is we're actually going to go into some of the things you can do to help move through these stages and how some techniques you might be able to use and things like that, okay?
Yeah. Stopping the thinking to access the inner layers.
So that's going to be our next episode. So if you listen to this one, you got to sit there and say, oh man, I got to listen to the next one. Yay.
Yay. So thank you so much for listening. We hope that you heard something that you like, and you can find us at spinningthelightpodcast.com. That's our website. We hope that you'll subscribe. You'll get an email whenever we post a new episode. And also we are on social media, of course, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. On YouTube, we're Worlds of Wonder by Spinning the Light. And that's where we go out into the world and spin our light.
And make those connections.
And make them.
And where that inner world meets the outer world meets the inner world. Because what is that experience? So that's always really fun. And of course, my sip and savor, because that's just really fun for me.
That's fun
I love
stuff.
to put things together.
Mhm.
But, I guess in a way you think about it, it's taking three different things or whatever, and putting them together to make something different. And isn't that kind of what we do in life? I mean, think about it. When you go and get with somebody and you blend that and you have kids, now you're just making a nice, flavorful drink, I guess.
Kind of, yeah.
Let's just use that little analogy, shall we? No. But anyway, we are extremely grateful to each and every one of you. And I always feel like because of how this works, podcasting and all that, there's always that piece of me that feels like I'm pimping myself out. Because I tease about that, but we really want to create a community here.
Yes.
We really want to have engagement. We want to hear people's ideas and thoughts on the things that we talk about. And for those of you who have shared your ideas and thoughts, thank you, thank you, thank you. We appreciate it.
Yes. All the reactions and comments.
And if you like our podcast, you like what you're hearing,
Share.
tell your friends, tell your family, tell the stranger that you see maybe needs a little help. No, I'm kidding. We're trying to grow a community, and we cannot grow a community without you guys. So we are grateful to all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we will be back next week. Bye.
Bye.